Well, here we go, friends. Another rockin' awesome Saturday night here at the Six Screens. And we got our great program, Red Pill by the Watchtower. We have Eric. Well, he's originally from Rhode Island, but he's living down in Tennessee. But he's coming in tonight. And he's a former Jehovah's Witness, and he wants to share many things with you. So we're going to bring Eric in, and we're going to say hello to Eric. Let's see if we can bring him in. It looks like there he is now. Okay, let's do that. Let's bring Eric in. Okay, there's Eric. So, Eric, I got that clip up. You just let me know when you want to play it. So, why don't you tell the
Yeah,
audience?
sure. I'll tell you what. I'll just do a quick little introduction, and I'll have you play it right after. That way, you can just relax a little bit.
Yeah.
But how's everyone doing tonight? Thanks for coming to Red Pilled by the Watchtower. Glad to have you, man. I hope, or y'all. That's how I talk, like a Californian sometimes, dude. But I hope you all having a good night. I don't necessarily have a subject, but I kind of do have like a backup one. But some things I'm going to talk about tonight are. So I like to dig into jw.org and pick out some little nasty gems, if you'll say, spiritual nasty gems that they do. I've been noticing some brainwashing techniques and stuff they're doing lately, and I like to have a segment of my show where we expose them a little bit with their own teachings. But if Rick doesn't mind playing a video, it's only 4 minutes and 31 seconds, guys. So don't go running for the hills. I was gonna maybe thinking of editing it, but it was no point because there's enough information to be heard all the way through, and it's only 4 minutes. But when the video's done, I'll call out some things about it. But yeah, so somewhere in Kinshasa, I don't know how to pronounce it, in the Congo, they have a video about it. So if Rick doesn't mind playing that for all of us.
Congo is certainly not among the most popular travel destinations for tourists around the world, but it is definitely a preaching paradise. In general, very few people have reservations to discuss their personal spiritual convictions with strangers. In addition, Jehovah's Witnesses are well known for their high moral standards and their consistent Bible education. It is not uncommon for non-witness parents to even solicit the services of a witness Bible teacher in order to help their children become better persons and improve their performance in school. As a result, the number of Bible studies is about 3 times the number of active witnesses. And memorial attendance figures amount to almost 5 times the number of publishers. As you can imagine, in a country where internet connections are pretty unstable in urban areas and almost unavailable in more remote places, it was a tremendous challenge for the Friends to adapt to the alternative COVID-19 meeting and preaching methods. Our branch benefited from many additional arrangements that have been kindly put in place to assist these brothers and sisters to keep up to date with spiritual food and stay active in the ministry, such as the JW Satellite TV channel, the JW Box Network, and pre-recorded public talks broadcast on local radio stations. In addition, publishers came up with some very practical alternative preaching methods themselves. For example, in a rural congregation called Mpeshi, deep in the interior, the news of a worldwide pandemic costing hundreds of thousands of lives hasn't been perceived as more than a background noise. Still, a temporary special pioneer called Emmanuel was determined to apply theocratic COVID-19 instructions. But how could he continue to conduct his Bible studies in a place with no internet coverage and with students who don't even possess smartphones? This is what he came up with. As his house has a main entrance and a back door, he advised his Bible students to come one by one, enter through the back door, which he left open, each one with his own chair, not touching anything in the room, and sit down next to the closed door leading to the living room. Emmanuel himself used the main door, sat on the other side of that closed door in the living room, and conducted his studies, so to speak, behind a closed door. So let's go back to the urban areas. Here, government-imposed COVID-19 restrictions had a great impact on thousands of our self-employed brothers and sisters who overnight were cut off their already meager sources of income. Our branch was authorized to provide about 3,000 tons of staple food for more than 200,000 beneficiaries. 113 disaster relief committees distributed this humanitarian aid in only 4 months. As food trucks pulled up at Kingdom Hall properties, and later hundreds of individuals left with care packages, many onlookers were deeply impressed. Once more, they realized how different Jehovah's organization is from all the other religious entities around them. While many pastors and preachers urged their church members to help them financially during the pandemic, the witnesses distributed free goods to needy ones in their community. Definitely, the fields in Congo are white for harvesting, and the reapers rejoice.
Well, thank you, Rick.
You're welcome.
Yeah, well, what do you all think? I've got some points that I want to make about it. I know it's not the biggest deal of a talk that has ever been said, but there were some things that really bothered me in this. So for starters, they admit right away that the people don't have internet, and then they wonder why they have an increase in their numbers or memorial attendance. It just made me think for a second, wow, these guys are low down and dirty. They'll do whatever it takes to get members. Oh, you don't have internet? Great, because the YouTube is our worst nightmare, and Facebook and all that. Had a pretty big problem with that. Also, the fact that, did it bother you guys? It bothered me. He claims that Jehovah's Witnesses are known for their high moral standards and consistent Bible education. Has it been consistent? I don't know. What do you think? Has it been? Have their teachings been consistent over the years? I mean, if they were consistent, we wouldn't have an overlapping generation prophecy. There was just a lot of things in this talk that really bothered me, especially like it almost feels like Watchtower is becoming just like predators. They're preying on the weak, the weak-minded. They're preying on people the uneducated or the people who don't use critical thinking skills. They really seem to be just preying on anybody. It's not something to be proud of. It's like the only reason why you guys are having any success there is because you're love bombing them, in my opinion. And then on top of that, yeah, they don't have internet. They can't fact check you. It feels like such a mean thing to do. Let's see. What else do we have here? Oh, another point. In that regarding to what I was just bringing up, another thing, if you noticed, they had to adapt to their preaching work because they don't have the internet and they can't use iPads and stuff like there. It just goes to show this is not a religion. This is a cult that is using not even the Bible anymore. I mean, what happened to just taking the old book out and having a Bible discussion? That's not what they're doing. It comes in the disguise of a Bible study, but it's really more of Bible indoctrination. This is what we say because we said so, basically, type of thing. Another point too that really peed me off. Are we going to buy into this, that Watchtower actually does humanitarian aid? It's possible that they did. It probably came from the government. They probably didn't go out of pocket. I don't know. I know those are weasel words, probably, maybes. But what is the history of Watchtower? When did they, like Rick has asked people before, when is Watchtower giving you anything? Maybe the people, but we're talking about Watchtower Corporation. And I find it I found it very insulting when they said that, let's see, he says, unlike other religious organizations where pastors or priests urge the members to help them financially through the COVID epidemic, we do the opposite. And that is so far from the truth. How many talks did we hear from jw.org where they're begging for money through COVID, wanting money, wanting labor. It's just, do y'all get sick of the gaslighting? Because that's what they're doing to us. They're gaslighting us. They're telling us one thing when it means something completely else, and then they're setting us up. And it really bothered me that they attacked Christendom, because Desiree and I, when we were homeless, guess who didn't help us? The Jehovah's Witnesses. And guess who did help us? Churches. I think one of them was a Catholic church. Some Baptists helped us. Yep, definitely some Baptists with some food banks. Very nice people. In fact, the food bank, one of them that we went to, local in town, we don't go no more. We don't have to. But the preacher used to say, "Don't thank me, thank God," and he'd give you a little ticket, and it would be a little advertisement in your box of food, and it would say, "Are you leaving?" It had various religions. I think Scientology, Jehovah's Witness was on there. Are you trying to escape? Come to real Christianity. And even though I don't believe in like hell doctrine, and they do, I still really appreciate it. But who cares that we have some differences of opinions? What a beautiful man to show me love, and all of us. And for Jehovah's Witnesses to say they would do that, I mean, my own families wouldn't give me a place to say. No, that doesn't happen. But that was another point that I got out of it. Let's see, what else do I have here? Oh, yeah, that was another thing that I caught on to as well. So they say that they help with humanitarian aid. Meanwhile, they have a video that's going around through their own video, and it's like a dramatization, a movie, if you will, fictional. And there is a refugee camp, right, with those African brothers and sisters. And what's sitting there? The little donation with the coin, sitting right there. They made a makeshift box at a refugee camp when you have nothing. And they have the audacity to gaslight us and say, "But nobody contributes like we do to society." What a load of horse poop. But that's what I got out of that little 4 minutes and 31 seconds. And I'll tell you what, I do have other subjects to talk about, but before I move on, if anybody has anything that they picked up on it, or has a comment that they want to make before I go to the next point, you're welcome to. So I open it up to the radio phone lines.
Yeah, I've got something to mention.
I can barely hear you.
Oh, really? Let me try something. How about now?
Yeah, it's a little better.
Okay. He said that non-Jehovah's Witnesses will seek out Jehovah's Witnesses to teach their kids about the Bible because Jehovah's Witnesses are so recognizable as good people. And that's just more gaslighting. I've never heard of that happening ever once. Somebody going to Jehovah's Witnesses and going, "Oh man, you guys are such good people. Can you teach my child about the Bible? Not me, but my child, because my child will be better off knowing what you know." I've never heard that ever. Just more lies, I think.
What was the last thing you said? More lies?
Yeah, more lies.
Yeah. No, you're right, Brad. Absolutely. It's kind of like if Watchtower ever taught us something, they taught us how to lie. We go to the door and we lie, or we did. I mean, like I've trolled Jehovah's Witnesses at their carts, and "Oh no, you can have a beard." I'm like, "No, you can't." That's a straight up lie. That's a straight up lie. I would get counseled for having a shadow, and I'm talking like in the morning. I've said it on the show many times, but yeah, I agree with you, Brad.
You know what's interesting about the subject?
Hi, Des.
Can you hear me? Okay. What's interesting about the subject is that Jehovah's Witnesses almost make you a habitual liar if you're trying to survive it, because you have to possibly lie on your field service report. You have to possibly lie about your sins. You have to possibly lie
So
about
true.
it. Whereas in normal society, if you make a sin or you do this or that, you can actually like admit to your indiscretion. But Jehovah's Witnesses actually teach you to lie more than anybody else, because that's the only way that some of us can survive it. And the ones that actually are trying to achieve what everyone else is expecting you to achieve in the organization, if you actually have that in you, you're special. But if you don't, you lie. So they're teaching you how to lie. And I just wanted to mention that.
That's a great point, Desiree. It really is, because you're right. Almost in every aspect of our lives, we were taught to lie, and I didn't think about that too. That's a really good point about even our ministry. I've lied about my time slip and then felt guilty about it. Just I guess this is the way it is. But yeah, I completely agree with you.
Because that's how they measure how worthy you are.
And then you feel like crap when you can't measure up.
Or you have to answer to some man that doesn't know what the fuck he talks about. He's just some man, and he's been given a position in a religion where he's like, the popular thing to say is they're window washers, which is true for some of the organizations, some of the men. And they have no education and they know nothing about life, but they can just tell you what to do with God because they know a few scriptures.
Yeah, in fact, you and I both know a guy named Jeff, who's an elder, Jeff Giddy, and this guy thinks he can give medical advice because he's a janitor. He's an elder and he's a janitor at the hospital. And he's like the Kobe, I guess you would call him. And he's also a substitute circuit overseer. And he gives talks in the assemblies and thinks he's God's gift to mankind. And it's like Desiree's right. These guys are window cleaners. They're janitors. They're carpenters. They're not empathetic.
Which is not demeaning if you have honor in your life, but they think that they're special with God, and it's just like they have to be humbled and realize what they are. There's nothing wrong with being like a janitor or anything like that. It's an honorable profession. In fact, if you're a janitor and you're a good person, you have more dignity than these people that are bought and paid for from as far as politicians, and they're bringing the country down and they're doing evil things to the country. But there's no problem with being a hard worker in a certain trade, but you have to really think twice about what you're doing to people when you're judging sin, because that's not on anybody's radar. That's not anybody's right. There's no such thing as you being able to judge sin. And these people get their self-esteem off on thinking that they can judge sin and tell people what to do with themselves. And there's no such thing. The only person on this universe that knows what to do with sin is God. That's all I have to say.
Just reading a personal message on my phone. Brad from Australia says hi. Thank you, Desiree.
We want to hear what you have to say now, Brad. That's what we want to hear.
Oh, is this Jerry? I mean JP.
Yeah, I don't know how to go. It's Jerry. What's the topic you and Greg were talking about? I'm just sorry about that, but I have to do something real quick and I can do it. So
We were talking about a video.
He's not coming through clearly.
Not sure what happened here, but we were talking about this video on the Congo branch report in Kinshasa, and we were talking about how I can't even remember. I'm all messed up now. What Desiree and I we're talking about, but we were talking about how the humanitarian aid that they supposedly give from this, and how they they were saying that pastors and priests don't urge their members to help them financially, or didn't help them financially through COVID, which is a lie. How many videos did they have begging through money through COVID? And then we were talking about how I don't, forgive me for not knowing what Desiree and I were specifically talking about at the moment, but that's been kind of the topic, breaking down this 4 minute and 31 second video on jw.org that was boasting about all their accomplishments. And one of the big keys that I saw too was that they were saying how much preaching work there was in the ministry, but they don't have internet and they can't check everything. They can't fact check anything. So we were kind of talking about that. Yeah.
That you had something from the Congo.
Sorry?
Hi, Pixie.
I said it's fascinating. Hi. It's fascinating to me that you had something from the Congo.
Yeah, that's very desolate, isn't it?
It's a very large country, and 70 years ago there were films of pygmies in the Congo. Most of those are gone. Then they had kings that had wives with costume contests. Instead of war, the kings would have costume contests. That's gone. Then they had war with child soldiers. That was terrible. Now the people in the Congo are mining all the minerals we need for telephones. But it was fascinating to know that they have their sermons on the radio. So that's where their technology is. They still have sermons on the radio. If they get something from the Watchtower, they probably think that's a big deal, because they probably don't have little short films and things. So maybe there's some social engineering to try to get the people to have a certain moral code or something. But again, it's white imperialists in this huge black country that's very rich in minerals.
Mm.
Yeah.
Bob Roberts says that around 23% of people in the Congo have the internet. Oh, and Brad just sent me something too. Same thing. So people are doing their research. Yeah.
I know you guys are talking about now, so I'll let you guys deal with those are just thing that Pixie brought up, but talk about that more later, yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you, brother. I had a hard time hearing you. I don't know if it's on my end or yours. It was a little muffled.
Out of that broadcast at all. I got nothing out of it.
Can you hear me now?
That's a little better. Yeah, I'll put my other headphone in. Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say, I just wanted to see what the topic was. The thing, so keep going from here. It's something that needs to be talked about.
You were just wondering to know the topic. I'm not going to lie. I am having a hard time hearing you. It's coming in and out.
Well, how many countries does the Watchtower have their toe in? 200 and some countries.
Yeah, 200 and something. They probably see it as a huge victory every time they get something like the Congo, but they don't get it that it's because these people are more primitive. I'm not saying they're that primitive, but they don't have the freedoms and the easy access to internet that we have in the United States. They're, I don't know if they're a third world country. I didn't do my research on the Congo, but
they don't have television roads.
One part of the video that bothered me too that was in it. Or was this? Nope. Actually, I'm getting into another topic. There's another video where they go to, let's see here. There's another branch report in Brazil and Paraguay, and we'll talk about that later. And I didn't get much out of that one. Actually, I'll just bring it up now since there's only one point. But in Brazil and Paraguay, let's see. This was ridiculous to me. So you got two branch overseers that are going to visit Brazil and Paraguay, both countries, and they're bringing their wives, and they get flown there. And there was an election that was going on. I didn't play the video because it's really boring, and I only got 1 point out of it. So there was an election going on, and there was so much traffic from the protests because it didn't go the way the people wanted it, that the highways were shut down, and the overseers and their wives had no way to get to where they need the congregations, or Bethel, I guess the local Bethel branch, both in Paraguay and in Brazil. So when they did it, it was just so sick to me. They go, and then Jehovah did something that we didn't expect. And a helicopter comes down and picks them up because a brother owns one, and he donated it to them and flew them everywhere. And I'm just like, these guys are rock stars. Have you ever been able to go to a helicopter ride because of an important, I guess, what do you call it, a meeting? Not a press conference, but a conference, a meeting of some sorts? What a bunch of malarkey. I just thought that these guys spare no expense. I mean, like, if I was a man in power, I would want to be humble. Like, if I was in that situation, I'd go, this would look horrible if we went on a helicopter ride. I don't think we should do that. We're not that important. We'll do it through Zoom. I don't know. I saw it kind of flashing their benefits that they get as being governing body members and helpers and branch overseers. Did they fly first class? Who knows? But that was the points that I was making, the hypocrisy in the two latest videos that they just put on jw.org.
Does it qualify as globalist?
I feel like they are. I feel like they're part of the globalists. Because like the globalists say that you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. Everything will come out of a chip in your arm, basically. And then the governing body go, in paradise, you'll live where we'll tell you to live, and you'll be happy. You'll work where we tell you to work, and you'll be happy. What's the difference? It's the same thing, in my opinion. Go ahead, Des.
I think what people believe in the globalists is different than the average non-ex-Jehovah's Witness, because I think that you believe that I'm sorry, my mind went blank. Jehovah's Witnesses. I'm sorry, my mind went blank. I'll leave you alone.
Oh no, it's okay.
Anyway,
No.
next year there's a treaty.
I'm sorry.
Hey guys, this is Mike.
Next year there's going to be a treaty.
What's freaky?
A treaty, not freaky, treaty.
Oh, treaty. Oh, sorry, I couldn't hear you. Just so you all know, for whatever reason, my speakers aren't the greatest from hearing y'all. Some people come in better than others. It's not your fault. I think the line is just weak tonight because it's not always like this. But anyways, moving on.
Not as good tonight. Well, anyway, I thought it was very interesting to hear about the Congo.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, for sure. Let's see. I put the camera on mute for a second because I got one other thing to talk about tonight, or moving on to the next point. Unless anybody had something to say, I don't want to cut anybody off before we move on.
I had a quick question. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Cool. This is Michael in Florida. I was just curious if
Hi.
you had any kind of input on what you think the humanitarian aid, how are they quantifying what they're actually doing? Are they putting in some type of roads or infrastructure? It almost seems like it definitely ties into the globalist agenda, where maybe they're getting some type of funding through grants or UN or EU or something like that. Are they bringing in water with literature, or do you have any ideas of how they're justifying those numbers?
All I know is the video that we were given. I would have to do research, and I wish I don't know how to do the research to find out what they did. I bet somebody out there does. Probably some of the people that report to Rick and Mikey and Kim. But I would imagine Watchtower always, like, they're sneaky. They'll be like, "Oh, we're helping you with food," but it came from the government, and it's not really from them. They just passed it out. Or they have a lot of scams, and they always just help their own. They never help, say, worldly people with quotation fingers. But yeah, I really don't know what aid they actually did. In the video they said they passed out a lot of food. But I just don't. I don't trust them. I've like when I found out that every time we were doing quick builds and we were helping people, because I was an auto body painter and I was involved with RDC or LDC for a little while. I never went to people's homes to rebuild them, but I know people who did. And when I found out that they were scamming them and having free labor, using construction workers, roofers and stuff, putting new roofs on people's homes, and then on top of that, they were asking for the insurance check. So it wasn't charity. It was a scam, and they were making money on it, and that really discouraged me. It made me see what kind of men they're vipers. They're absolute disgusting. Like, you ever see that show, Better Call Saul or Breaking Bad? The governing body are Saul Goodman, just a parasite lawyer piece of what.
Eric.
Yes.
Yeah, hi, Eric.
Yes, sir.
In here.
Oh, hey, Tim.
How you doing? Just quickly, there's a channel. Sorry, wait up. There's a channel. He sometimes comments on Rick's live feed. Fixing my face. He's from Canada, and he sometimes plays videos about like some charity watch organisations in Canada, and what they do is monitor charities, registered charities. It's in Canada, but I think it'd be pretty relevant around the world. And he talks about the Witnesses because they're a supposed charity, and they've got one of the worst ratings as a charity in Canada. Worst transparency. They don't give any money to anyone. So literally their charity is supposedly by educating people in the Bible. Then to the other point of what you're talking about with Witnesses reallocating funds, that's like what they did in the Ukraine. So they're helping the refugees, but they're handing out from either local brothers donations or just reallocating UN or government resources. So you could say that in Congo, there's a fair chance that not much is coming out of their own pocket. If they are giving anything, it's just got to do with reallocation of government or local brother donations. And just a personal anecdote about the giving spirit of Witnesses, sort of like what you've said before about them. Years ago, back in 2000, I had a family kind of a disaster where I was literally, we escaped with literally owning nothing except the clothes we were wearing in our car. And I wasn't associating, so that was back in 2000, and I already wasn't associating for years, but I'd never been disfellowshipped. I kind of just moved away and faded. And some people did call witness relatives asking for money, and we got more money raised in by locals walking around the block than anyone trying to give. I think they might only gave $50, and we got $450 from the people that didn't even know us in our block. So that kind of gives a bit of an idea of where they're at mentally.
Yeah, good point, Tim, for sure. Thanks for that. I absolutely agree. Well, let's see here. If everybody's if anybody's got anything else to say, speak up. But I'll go on to the next point here real quick, if that's cool.
That's cool.
All right. I'm gonna. There's something I'm gonna start to do on my show. Since I'm on here twice a month, I've noticed patterns with Watchtower and on their daily text. I've read about 5 months worth of the daily text, not word for word, but not word for word, but more of just like skimming through and scanning. And by doing that, I've discovered that there is a pattern, and twice a month, every month for 5 months. I'm going to eventually get it done to see if they do it 12 months out of the whole year. And I think they do, because if I've gone back 5 months, and for the last 5 months, every month there are 2 texts about this fellowshipping, usually around the first of the month and the middle of the month or end. And I found that interesting, because they are really playing psychological mind games with us. So I'm gonna read today's text, if that's okay, and I'm not gonna read the other text. I'll read that on my next show. But they're doing this, and the reason why I'm going to read it is just to kind of show the.
You on with us, Eric? Can you hear us, Eric? Are you on with us, Eric? Well, I'm not sure what happened to Eric.
Back here. Can everyone hear me?
All right, you're back in now, Eric. Yep.
I don't think my phone liked me going off onto another app, and StreamYard kicked me off. I was looking up the daily text for August 2nd, and just to show how it doesn't even matter. I'll just skip it out. But the reason why next time I'll write it down or do something with it to have it back up. My phone doesn't like doing 2 things at once, I guess, on the StreamYard. But anyways, guys, sorry about that. I was bringing up today's text, and I'll just summarize it instead of reading it. Not today's text, August 2nd's text. Excuse me, I'm a little flustered from what happened. But anyways, Psalm 78:40 is what they give for disfellowshipping. And I don't know how that works, but what they say is, I read it earlier. Well, they cut it out. So let me just get to my Bible. How often they provoked him in the wilderness. They don't even say wilderness. They just say provoked him. And then they used a different word than provoke, and I don't remember it. I don't have it in front of me. And grieved him in the desert. What the heck does that have to do with disfellowshipping? And then the very first thing they say is how do you have a disfellowshipped family member? And it goes into it. And they do this twice a month. They're beating this into us, guys. And this is why I brought that up. I have no idea when that happened, if it was always like that. But it's not just disfellowshipping. There's a pattern. It's twice a month for disfellowshipping. It's about twice a month for forgive your brother. If your brother wronged you, turn the other cheek, basically, they preach, just let it go. It must be a problem in the organization. We've heard about fighting and all kinds of things happening. It must be an issue. The disfellowshipping must be an issue for them. They must be getting a lot of backlash from the media and people coming out. And next time I'm not going to go to another app next time I do this. I'll just write it out or whatever to have it in front of me. Not on the same device. But so they have that. What else do they have? They also have at least once a month donations in their text as well. I'm noticing the patterns. I'm going to fully break it down, the text, and read the entire thing eventually, and it's going to hurt. Who wants to do that? But I want to see when David Splain said, hey, brothers, we are at war. That was he declared war on apostates. And you know what? I guess I'm not one to back down from this psychological war that they want to play. You've already taken my freedom, my family. And at this point, I don't wish ill upon them. It's not a physical war. But they have declared war on us, and I'm willing to fight back. If you guys, if any Bethelites are watching, yeah, this is who I am. I'm Eric, and you can come after me. What are you going to do? Nothing. But anyways, guys, I digress, and I'm being silly. But I just see warfare tactics. Every time my family maybe thinks, gee, maybe I should call Eric, or Desiree's family thinks maybe I should call up Des. We got these jackasses, these assholes, constantly reinforcing us that disfellowshipping is biblical, that they're not wrong, and that oh, poor you, just you can't help it, you did the best you could, which is bullcrap, really. But that's another thing that I wanted to bring up from that. And if anybody else has a comment that they want to make, I'll open it back to the audience. And sorry again for the little mix-up.
It's interesting that you're noticing those patterns in the linguistic programming. And, that would take a lot of manual labor to go in and do that with listening time. That with the technology that we have now with, Chat GPT and all the different apps that are coming out, and that they're so digitized, that might be something to really kind of pick those patterns out that you're seeing.
Yeah, I agree, man, for sure. Absolutely. The patterns are there, we keep seeing them. I guess intuition picks up patterns, and anybody that has, I'm not an intuitive, I'm a sensor. But introverted intuition is my fourth function, and I do. My wife, her first function is introverted intuition. So we have like backwards. We have all the same. We share all the same brain functions in our first four functions, but they're in reverse. So she helped me sharpen my intuition. I think believe it or not, having a different diet and a long beard has helped improve that too, and just using critical thinking. And it's something that Watchtower really is coming down on. They even gave a war on, not a war, but like they came down upon conspiracy theories. And it's like, why is that? Is it because Watchtower is a conspiracy?
Yeah, it's interesting. My mother, she's still active Jehovah's Witness since '83, and I've got a pretty good relationship with her. Years ago, like back in 2013, we could talk about. I'd bring up, different conspiracy theories and stuff like that. I was showing her like video clips of TED Talks of Bill Gates talking about, doing rolling out vaccines to, to help with population reduction. And now all the stuff that we were talking about, years ago, it's all kind of come to pass now, and it's all reality. So she's kind of woken up to a lot of different things like that now. So it's kind of interesting to see it happen over time.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's like we're watching the diminish of Watchtower in front of our eyes. It's kind of historical in a way. I'm going to give a little chance to the comment sections here and see if there's anything to read here. Eric, do you have a channel? No, I don't. This is my channel. This is how I my activism. I guess I should go on YouTube one day, maybe tell a story, but I don't know. We'll see. I don't really like YouTube as far as I love YouTube. I use it all the time, but I don't, as far as me posting something on it, I've never done it, and I don't know if I would. I wouldn't want to read the comment section. Eric, can you speak some Australian? Oh, not really, mate. I fucking hate doing an Australian accent. It's horrible. Your bits and pieces. Is that Australian or is that English? I worked with an Australian Englishman. I told Brad that before. But yeah, that's about the best I can do with an Australian accent. Bob Roberts, that was terrible. I know, dude. I was asked on the spot. What do you want? You're all funny. I like to go to the comment section a little bit just to have a little fun, But anyways, Bob Roberts, you're killing me. Let's see here. If we got any comments that are worthwhile, not worthwhile, they're all worthwhile, but something meaningful. I'm scrolling through, I don't see nothing, but I'm on the spot here. But anyways, if anyone else has something to say, speak up.
Eric. Hi, Eric. Oh. Yeah, Eric.
Hey, man, I can hear you. It's the phone line muted off, I think, from Eric. Can you hear me? Anybody? Hello?
Hello. Yeah, I can hear you. Who is it?
Yeah, this is JP. I can hear you. Yeah, I don't think Eric can hear us. I just texted him a little bit ago, but yeah, the phone line got cut off somehow, I think.
Yeah, I think so here. Got some problems today.
Yeah, we can hear you guys. I don't think Eric can hear us on the show.
Eric's phone or something went out here. I mean, not his phone, but on YouTube, his camera. So why don't you guys carry the program on for the time being? JP and whoever else is on here, just keep talking and keep the program going, and we'll see if Eric comes back on again.
Okay, because I just got off YouTube, Rick, and I can hear him clearly on there.
Yeah, well, he's on YouTube, but I can see right now as his phone went off or something. He's not on YouTube right now.
Hey, Rick.
Hey, Rick, I don't know what's going on. I got booted off for some reason. I have no idea why. I feel like the link is junk.
It's got to be on your phone, Eric. It's not the link. The link.
Really? It's my phone, man? It's not
Yeah.
the link. I don't know, but I'm just struggling for some reason tonight. What is that?
Oh, that's Watchtower. They're hacking you, and that's what's doing it.
I think that's Australian accent. What do you think? What do you think, Brad?
I think it's probably a terrible Australian accent. It's just breaking everything.
I know. I can't do. Somebody asked me the comment thing. I gave it a go, mate.
Sound like a South African.
It sound like a Southern California.
You know what?
So
I ran into a South African, and they are the most blunt, straight to the point people I have ever met. And I'm from New England, like Rhode Island. I was like shocked that he's like, "What? You can't understand me just because I have an accent?" And I'm like, "Damn." What the guy is just so that was so like huh?
Do that again.
Do what?
Do that accent again.
Oh no, man, it's not good. Why do you want me to embarrass me on live?
hey, Brad.
Ask me to do Sean Connery. You know, I can yell that one.
Hey, Brad.
Australian Sean Connery.
Yeah. Australian Sean Connery. How the hell would you do that?
Hey,
Mate, from down under.
Who is saying?
Hey, Brad. This is JP. I'm from Southern California. Doesn't our accent sound more clearer than Eric's from New England?
Yes. Yeah. You can pronounce.
Yeah. There's no distinction in California from any other accent. Like we all sound the same, I think.
Oh, you're saying that I don't have an accent? Is that what you're saying?
Now you still got the New England one sometimes, Eric. I think.
Yeah, sometimes. Well, it depends. See, I'm a social chameleon, and I blend in with whoever I'm around, and I'll talk like them. It's not purposeful. It's just how I am. And I naturally can mimic voices. I can't do an Australian accent. I can do a British accent sometimes if I do like Gordon Ramsay style, you know.
Well, that's the thing with accents is are so crazy. Is I'm from California. You're from New England. Brad is from Australia, but he's originally from, I think, New Zealand, right? And then everybody sounds so different in the U.S. You got people calling in from Texas, Oklahoma, from like Rick. He's from like Boston or the Massachusetts. They sound different. Everybody sounds different, the English accent, but it's the same way like with the Spanish accent. Somebody from Mexico will sound different from somebody from like Spain or from Argentina. They have different accents, and that's even how like in the Latin community, how they could tell where they're from. Like you can get somebody from Mexico that's talking to somebody, and they'll right away they'll know like, oh, you're from like El Salvador, just by their like accent. And that's kind of like the same with
they know
English accent. Like right away you can tell like an Englishman. Like I could tell the difference between like somebody from like the UK or somebody then like from Australia or some people get them confused, but I can tell the difference.
Yeah, I worked with a bunch of El Salvadorians, and there was a mix. There was Portuguese, El Salvador, barely any Americans, only two of us. We worked at like a place that built boats, and I painted. And there was this guy that I worked with, and I'm like, dude, that is like, he took his shirt off for a second and like put another one on, and I happened to notice like a fucking scar. Oh, sorry, I'm talking too freely. I happened to notice a scar, and it was a bullet hole, and I could tell it was like it didn't look right. It looked like something. And I'm like, did you get shot? And he's like, yeah, I was in a gang. I mean, he was telling me his story and stuff, and he became a Christian, and it doesn't do that anymore. But he said that with accents, the Puerto Ricans he said they talk really weird, and they can always tell that someone's Puerto Rican to go along with what you're saying, because they would say things different. Like there was one word, I can't remember what it was, and it sounded like balls instead of something that wasn't that word. I can't remember it, but yeah, to back you up, there's so many different accents and the ways that people say things. If I was around a bunch of like my old friends or family, I would end up talking like, "Hey, it's wicked dark up there, and you know, park the car and make sure you cut the wheel really hard and not smash anything." You'll know I'm from Rhode Island from that, and I get what you're saying with the California accent. I know we got a little off topic. I don't know what Rick is going to try.
Like Minnesota and all that, they talk different, you know, like don't you know?
Oh, yeah, don't you know? From Minnesota, you know, it's really cold there. Don't you know? Canadians kind of have that vibe too, don't they?
Is that so? Is anybody listening from down under, like Brad, or do they have different accents, like in Australia, like different, like the different accents of Australia?
Calvin.
Well, I never thought they did. I always thought that everyone around the outside, like on the coast of Australia, all sounded the same. And then right in the centre, where they go in the outback, they sound slightly different. But then Tim came on one time and said that I had a different accent to him. And I'm reading in the comments now that Kat says that New South Wales people sound different to Queenslanders. I'm a Queenslander, and New South Wales is the state just below me.
Yeah, because don't they speak like Welsh or something? Isn't there like Welsh, and then there's like Irish, and then Scottish, and then they got like kind of Cockney?
Not in Australia.
Not in Australia, there isn't. No.
But I mean in the UK.
Well, you guys, the north of England sounds completely different from the south England. Totally different. But I always thought in Australia that we all kind of sound the same.
And what about New Zealand, Brad? Because aren't you originally from New Zealand? Like, do you guys kind of speak the same?
We actually, New Zealanders all pretty much sound the same, but we sound completely different to Australians as well.
Oh, okay.
But
I don't know how we got talking about accents.
Yeah,
New Zealand accent sounds a lot like a South African accent. I know that sounds strange, but they're very similar.
Oh, it's good information. Yeah. It's kind of interesting to think about the accents, how you develop them growing up, and it's kind of almost a form of programming. You know, you can't really, you can learn other accents, but you still have like your base, accent, nature, stuff that was kind of interesting. Reminds me of a little bit of, the Watchtower mentality and having that programming ingrained in you.
Yeah, no doubt, everyone. Well, I guess I don't know how we got so off topic talking about accents, but it's cool though. I like that we can all chat and talk about whatever. One little side point I was going to bring up tonight, if there was time, and it seems like there is, was I won't give his name in case he didn't wanted to be. Didn't want it to be told, but if it's innocent, and if I don't give the identity, I think that'd be fine. But a friend of mine told me that who's physically and mentally out said that his mother, who was a teenie physically and mentally, and he talks to her sometimes and tells her little things, to challenge her mind about the organization. Just like things like, wouldn't you agree, Mom, that it's like it would be unwise to trust any group of men, or something like that. I can't remember what exactly he said, but he does those little things to her, and it made me think of a topic that was like, does activism work? Does what we do work? Even with like Jehovah's Witnesses, say, forget the rest of the world. And I think it does, because that friend of mine made me think that, like, we can whittle away at them. It's a fact that when a human being hears something for 3 times subconsciously, they usually accept it as truth. It depends, but I mean subconsciously usually. But if someone keeps hearing something over and over and over again, eventually it beats into them. I mean, you mean to tell me that the witnesses aren't going to, I know my parents won't, but I know that most witnesses, they're going to start to wonder, like, why do I keep hearing about CSA cases in Pennsylvania and everywhere else around the world? Why does this keep coming up? Why does this keep coming up? And it's almost like we have to use the tools, the evil tools that Watchtower uses against us. It's almost like we have to stoop to their level, but not in that bad level like they do, but to expose the truth. If we whittle at them and just keep it on little by little, you know, the more that people hear it, they're going to start to question. We're going to get more pin cubes, and then we can give them a place like Six Screens or anybody out there that has a support group. I think there's somebody on Wally's channel, or it's not his channel, but he had them on the channel, the man and the woman who are not looking to expose Watchtower, but just help people through their departure. And I think that's really honorable. But that's what I wanted to say about that. Like, so is activism important, or does it work with Jehovah's Witnesses? Absolutely. When I put those stickers up, you know, in the square where I live, every time they tear them down, I have hundreds more to replace them, and they're still there. I think they've torn them down a total of 4 times, but the moment they tear them down, I pass by it every day, so I know exactly, like, it's in town, so I know exactly, excuse me, when that's when they've taken them down, and I put them right back up, and it's got to be humiliating to sit there with JW.org and the posts right behind them, all the fence posts and everything. They're all tagged with stickers that say Watchtower is the biggest, what's one of them? Watchtower is the biggest high control group. No, I can't remember. Doomsday cult ever. Another one is Jehovah's Witnesses protect pedophiles. Another one is Jehovah's Witnesses destroy lives. And if you look at the fine print, it gives a little note on it. And that's thanks to Stand If You Are Able. And he hooked me up with that. But like, I think it does help, because if we keep it in their minds constantly, it's almost like Linda James says from Apostabate, hey, this is Linda James, your favorite Apostabate. And she goes through that routine doing a brainwashing session just to prove a point. And I agree with it, but like, we can do the same thing too, but we're not doing it to hurt people. We're trying to wake people up. But I went on a little rant, and I'm sorry, everyone. If anybody wants to speak up and make a comment, I'm about out of material. That's mostly what I wanted to talk about. I got one more story later if we got time, but it's not important. Actually, I won't be able to access it on my phone, so never mind. But if anybody has anything to say up there, or if you want to make a comment, go ahead, hit *6.
I think that was a really good point you had, asking questions and kind of meeting them on their terms of, you know, how they think, their mindset. Dr. Walter Martin, he, you know, often talked about how there's certain things where if you're trying to come from a position of teaching or being like an adversary, then that they automatically have that programming come up, that wall of defense, and it's going to trigger them. So kind of using those questions is really good. It's kind of interesting. I asked my mom last week, I was asking her about what's his name, governing body guy that just left earlier in the year, if she knew anything about that. And I was like, I can't remember, what was his name? Can't think of it.
Which governing body member are you talking about?
Who is the governing body member that recently left the organization? That there was something.
Oh, Tony Morris. Tony Morris.
Yeah, Tony Morris. So I was like, I asked her about Tony Morris, and she's like, who? and it's so crazy to me. They have
Already?
one and only channel, you know, and they don't even, and you know, they're going on watching videos and stuff like that, but don't even know by name, but they have such a blind faith. But you know, I just asked her about that, and used to be kind of, it would get more adversarial, and so it's when you're coming from a place where you're not like an enemy, and you're not triggering those defensive mechanisms. I think it's a more beneficial conversation where you're kind of coming from a neutral ground, but asking those questions and using those NLP terms back. That's pretty funny. I like that.
Yeah, for sure. Morris is going to get a reality show. Oh, go ahead.
Who is that? Who is that? Just asked the question.
I'm sorry.
Who just asked the question? I was wondering.
I'm not aware of a question being asked. What question were you? I'm not sure what you're talking about, sir.
The last person that just spoke. Who is that?
Hey, Michael.
Is that person still there, Michael? Sorry.
Yeah, Michael.
Oh, okay.
I'm from Florida.
Oh, hey, Michael. This is JP from California. Hey,
Okay.
Sorry, I was just wondering who you were, but that's yeah. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty awesome to see that this is still going, because I used to listen in back in like, what was it, like 2011, maybe even before that. So it's pretty cool.
Hey, Michael, where in Florida?
Sorry?
How long have you been out for?
Oh, go ahead, Jerry. I'm sorry. You say it again so you can hear you. I keep interrupting. My bad.
I'm sorry. Mike, how long have you been out for?
So
2011, so quite a bit, right?
No, I just turned 40, and so I never was officially a Jehovah's Witness. I was never baptized, and so my mom is a Jehovah's Witness, and so my father wasn't, so I kind of had almost the best of both worlds to kind of see through things in a way. But so I basically, as far as I got, when I was about 17, I stepped down from the theocratic ministry school, and then I basically was agnostic for about 10 years after that. And then I started researching the history, and then I started reading the Bible. That's where I found that they changed the nature of who Jesus was. And so then I became a Christian, and so did a lot of damage, like psychologically, but also it's kind of interesting because it kind of also is a benefit, because it kind of gave me the ability to kind of have critical thinking skills. That's kind of just in my background.
Hey, well, good for you. I'm also an image of you. I'm 40. I just became a Christian recently outside of the Watchtower, so I know you've been in that a little longer than me, but yeah, there's a lot more than the Watchtower offers, especially with Christianity and salvation, or not Christianity, but being a Christian. So I commend you for that, for trying to be a Christian in that, and remaining with that, and trying to find Christianity after the Watchtower, because it's hard for a lot of people. A lot of people want to be agnostic or atheist, and me personally, I chose to try to embrace the road to becoming a Christian, which I'm still now on, and that not so much Christianity, but being a Christian. So it's nice to hear that from you.
Yeah, I think probably the biggest influence
in my life. I mean, there was a lot of mysteries, but probably Walter Martin, Kingdom of the Cults. He was like the guru when it came to
Can
just
you
breaking stuff down.
Can you say the name again? I caught some of it and I didn't hear it all.
It's Dr. Walter Martin.
Dr. Walter Martin. Okay.
Yeah, he's got a book called The Kingdom of the Cults, but he used to be able to find a lot of audio files and stuff like that. And he back in the 80s, he like extensively got into breaking down all of the cults that kind of all have the same commonality, that they all deny the deity of Christ. And his book's basically like an encyclopedia. It's a pretty good reference material to check out. Didn't it even in that book, Kingdom of the Cults, he even pointed out like the witnesses or the IBSA, right, is like being a cult, like way back then in like the 60s or 70s, right? In his book. I'm sorry, that what was? The author of that book, Kingdom of the Cults, he actually recognized like Jehovah's Witnesses and like I think even maybe the Bible students as like being like some form of a cult even in that book way back then, right? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he used to go on some different television networks, stuff like that. He kind of, I think, partnered up with a few guys that were ex-Jehovah's Witnesses that got away, and then they started some pretty big Christian ministries. He had been on like the John Engelberg show and stuff like that. All right.
Hey, Michael.
Do you have any family that's still in the organization at this time? Yeah, I've got just my mother. I've got just one sibling. I've got an older sister. She's 3 years older than me, and so she pretty much just faded away. And then, so my father actually, he was never really a part of it. He didn't really have any type of spirituality or anything like that, or any type of religious belief, but it's kind of gotten to a point where I do business with a lot of people in my local area that are witnesses, and so every time I kind of bump into them, they're like, "Oh, we're seeing a lot more of your dad lately." So yeah, he had a bit of a scare with prostate cancer about a year and a half ago. So I think they prey on the weak when they're in those vulnerable moments, questioning, and so I think he's kind of getting more involved, but he was always like, he studied years ago, and interestingly enough, like he was studying when I was a kid for maybe about a year or so, and then just had nothing to do with it. But it's funny because the guy that he was studying with at the time, he was ex-CIA, and so I just kind of, it's just interesting to think about. Like, yeah, that's interesting. It's
Hey, Michael, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What part of Florida are you from? Because I have family in Ocala area.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I'm on the coast. In St. Augustine.
St. Augustine?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Like an hour.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's not far at all, actually. My wife and I, we used to, because her family lives in Ocala, we visited there and went to some Italian restaurant. That was pretty good. But
cool.
Yeah, I'm just always curious. I have a lot of family ties in Florida from my in-laws, and my father is from Miami, and then moved to Ocala later in his life. Well, not later, but like 16 or 17, or about 17, 18 years old, I think he was in Ocala, or Denellen. It's just backwater town. But it borders Ocala. It borders Ocala, but I always like to ask. That's pretty close.
Yeah.
And St. Augustine is something close to Des. She definitely knows where that is.
That's cool. Yeah, I was originally from New York. My family moved down here when
Really?
Okay.
I'm from Rhode Island.
Rhode Island. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So
3.5 hours from New York with no traffic, which never happens.
when I was a kid, we went to some assemblies and Yankee Stadium and stuff like that.
Oh, you went to Yankee Stadium? All right. What year you were born?
83.
Yeah, I'm 81. Okay, wow. So you were you got like probably the last part of that, because they don't do that anymore, I don't think. But that was probably like the last hurrah when you were a part of that.
Yeah, it's I kind of have like it's almost like a surreal, nostalgic kind of looking back on it.
Don't you wish you were just at a Yankees game?
Yeah. Yeah.
I would love to see Boston Yankees playing together. forget Watchtower.
Eric?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
This is Carrie. God. If I can get my voice back. I wanted to ask you a question, and anybody else could answer. Is there anybody in your Kingdom Hall that you really, really miss an awful lot, that no longer speaks to you?
Yeah, Danny Antonelli.
And who is he?
When I've been to fellowship twice for smoking marijuana, and the first time he was on my committee, and every 6 months he would call me up, and he'd say, "Hey, buddy, how you doing?" And he would ask me if I wanted to come back. Wasn't assertive. Said, "We love you, man, and we miss you." And he goes, "I know you're a good guy," and it picked me up in a really bad time in my life, because when you leave the organization, you just go crazy. And I'm sorry, everybody does. Everybody's like, "Well, I'm dead anyways," and you just go crazy. You do stupid things. I didn't get in trouble with the law, but we all pretty much, well, not all of us, but a lot of us get in trouble. But this guy, but then I got reinstated, right? And this guy, he was happy that I came back. And I was an auto body painter, and I had a lot of experience. And he knew I painted high expensive automobiles, like highline cars, like Lexus, Infiniti, Maserati. I worked for a place that Porsche. It had all of them. It was like 15 highline car dealerships, and my painting skills had to be on par. Anything that got messed up, I had to fix it. The slightest defect, but it was picky like that. So he knew the talent that I had to help him in the RDC or LDC work. And it was funny because he thought he was doing me a favor, but he really wasn't, because I'm giving my labor for free. But he really wanted me to help him spray the Kingdom Hall doors with a gun, with a spray gun, and it was lacquer paint. He had a whole setup of a booth with a compressor, and I'm like, "Yeah, I can do it." And I'm just like, "Just tell me the product that you want." And it was actually, wood was actually easy to. I'm making a long story. I'll keep it shorter. But anyways, this guy really helped me, and just made me feel good about myself. And we worked together. I was still on. I guess when you get reinstated, you're on timeout, and you can't have privileges. And he was like corrupt, and he was like, "Hey, listen, this kid's been he's been back for 2 months, and I need him. Put him on the RBC." And they did. They put me on, and we worked together alone for like 12 or 13 hours. Oh my gosh, it was so long. We went about 8 hours, and I hadn't eaten the thing the whole day. And I said, "Danny, I'm dying. I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna go get like a Subway sandwich. I'll be right back." He's like, "Oh my goodness, we didn't eat. No, let's take a break." And we went to an Italian restaurant, and he doesn't drink. He's an alcoholic, but the only time he does drink is when he eats, and he can have self-control. And we got a bottle of wine, and he had maybe a glass or two. I had the rest, and he bought, and we went to it was a really nice Italian restaurant in East Providence, Rhode Island, and not like fancy. It was just like one of those restaurants where you like a mom and pop place that does really, really good home cooking. And we ate well, and we went back to work and finished the job. And he taught me things. This brother said, "Hey, Eric, your grandfather's lazy." My grandfather was an elder. He passed away, but he was an elder for, I don't know, since '77. And when the elder arrangement started, and he told me he's lazy, and he wasn't insulting him. He actually was right. And my family has laziness. And he told me he fired my brother for being lazy. He told him to bring a hammer, and that was the only thing he had to bring was a hammer and a thing to hold his hammer in the belt. And my brother didn't bring it, so he fired him immediately. But he saw something in me, and we actually worked together, and he paid me on a job where I sprayed a really rare wood, silver maple walnut, or silver maples. It was for this Italian guy that was rich in the rich section of Providence in the neighborhood. And I felt honored that this guy is so picky, he doesn't let anybody work for him. And he was a straight shooter. He ended up losing being an elder because another elder was taunting him, trying to get him to work. And he's like, "You're not experienced, and I don't need you on this job." But he harassed him to the point where he said, "Get the F out of here." And he got removed as an elder for that. So I know it's a long answer to your story, but yeah, I missed that man because he was a real person. He was a straight shooter. And you know what? That's the only elder that I ever missed. I don't like any of them. Only that guy. Not even my grandfather. That guy was special. He was a straight shooter. He was a good man. He has dedicated his life to the LDC, RBC. This guy is a workaholic maniac, and he works really, really good. All he does is work. He works crazy, and I appreciate him for teaching me a trade because I didn't know woodworking until him, and so it came natural to me because auto body is easier. And so yes, to answer your question, that's the only person that I miss from Watchtower. Not even my own family. That guy.
Would you ever consider calling him up and saying, "Hi, how are you"?
Nah, he's a dedicated Jehovah's Witness. He won't. He might talk. He might talk to me, but I wouldn't want to set myself up for the rejection. I can't handle that. If he reached out to me, oh boy, if I saw the man, I wouldn't. I'm pretty sure that I could go up to him and give him a hug if we ran into each other. But I don't live near him anymore. But I'm pretty sure that we're both. I'm a quarter Italian. He's full blooded, and my grandfather's full blooded, and that's why he calls him out, because my grandfather is kind of lazy, to be honest with you. When he got disabled, he just kind of milked it. My grandfather, but I appreciate people calling out the truth. Even my own family, it's not negativity. I appreciate a real person or a real man. He just spit the truth. You know, I don't like fake people. I know other elders and other people that But of all the people, I've had other friends that he's an older man. He's got to be 70 something if he's still alive, and he probably is. He's a bull. In fact, this guy is such a bull that he used to go around. He has a New England accent. He goes, "Nobody works harder than I do." And he has a raspy voice because he's old school and he just sees people in their work ethic. And, so it meant something to me that he saw that I had a good work ethic, and I kept up with him. So yeah, I miss that guy, and I don't miss anyone else.
Yes, I had a friend. Well, she was a sister, but we were more friends than that. But you know, after I left and all the things that happened after, I contacted her on Facebook, and we talked a little bit. And then she just cut me me off because she's still a witness, and but it's too bad because she was really, her and I were very, very close. She was much younger than me, but a really nice girl. So yeah, but I was wondering how, if there was anybody else out there that missed anybody to this day.
Yeah, anybody else miss anybody out there? I mean, I know you guys miss your families and stuff, but Terry's got a good point.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Hey, this is JP.
Hey, JP.
Hey, Carrie. Yeah, I was going to say there's a couple elders that were really close to me. One was an elder, a ministerial servant, and then one just brother. But I'll talk first about this brother. He was a really nice gentleman. It was just, I was being raised by my mom who was single, and he took an interest in her, but she never really liked him. But he was always really nice. Anytime like we had anything break down at the house or my mom's car broke down, he was always there to fix it and repair it. He was always so nice, and he did propose to my mom at one time, she told me, and she turned him down, but they always remained good friends even up until this day. And I didn't have a dad around so much, but he showed me so much about just mechanical stuff and just would give me advice as a young man. I always appreciated that. And then there was an elder in our hall who was, there were these two brothers. There was an elder and a ministerial servant, and that's back in the day when we had the book study. And these two brothers, they really were some of the kindest men you would ever see or that I ever saw. They were just, I can't even explain it. They were just father-like, grandfather-like figures to me. Anything that ever happened in the family, they were always there for us. My mother didn't make a lot of money, and this one brother, he was always doing so much for people in the congregation. And if any brothers like myself or anything needed a new book bag or shoes for meeting, he was always buying us stuff like that. I remember was very nice about some of these brothers. It wasn't all terrible. And unfortunately, I feel sad because those are some of the highlights of my memories as being raised as a witness. There was a lot of good brothers, and there was some that weren't so good. I have stories of that too. But these brothers, it's sad because I was going through a photo book of some old photos from the book study that we used to have at my old house. And I was a young kid at the time, maybe 8 or 9 years old, 10, and a lot of these nice brothers. I mean, I could talk about another brother that's real nice, and his wife, real nice. A lot of nice people. But I was looking at a picture recently, and it was a picture of me when I was about 8 or 9 years old, and it's this elder I was talking about, and this ministerial servant, and a few other brothers. And all of these men they're all dead. They're no longer living. And it's just sad because all the time I was growing up, all these gentlemen and these men I looked up to were telling me about the paradise and how I was never going to grow up, or we're going to go through school and that. And I'm like 40 years old now, and they're no longer living. But these were men that I looked up to, and I always thought that we're gonna grow old together, even though they're old at the time, but we would never die. And waking up recently, I look at those old photos and I'm like, wow, even a couple of years ago, I thought, you know, I was never going to die. And I look at myself as a kid and these people no longer in those pictures anymore. And it's really hard to look at, you know, some of those pictures because they promised us so much organization. I'm not trying to sidetrack off of what we're talking about, but point being is all those, a lot of those men that I was in those pictures with at the book study, we had a lot of good times together, you know. Nights at the book study where people would bring, you know, treats and we would hang out and play games. I have like countless memories of, I remember when I was like in junior high, I got into chess, and this one brother liked chess a lot, and we would play chess after the book study so long. His wife would just be like, all right, we need to go. Like, I need to get out of here. Like, you guys, it's like 9 o'clock. Book study was over at like 8. Like, we got to go. And
Goody night was good too, right?
oh, yeah. A lot of good people. But
It was.
You know, I think,
But then, go ahead.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but I think sometimes you have that strong relationship, friendship, and religion aside, your personality is matched, and it goes above and over until you're disfellowshipped. That's when you know your friendship really, it wasn't really what you thought it was. But, and that's the sad part. That is really the sad part.
That's a good point, Terry, because a lot of those people that I grew up with, I got this fellowship when I was 19, and that was a cutoff from a lot of those people that I knew, and some of them I did eventually go back to the organization when I was in my early 20s, but some of them I never got the chance to say goodbye to and stuff, and I don't know what to think now. You know, you go back and then you leave and you realize what it was all about. It's like what to think about those people. Like,
Right.
they were good people, but we were all misled, you know.
Yes, absolutely.
And they did.
And hopefully they'll leave. Hopefully they'll come out before they die. That's for sure. But very good story. Thank you.
No, thanks for bringing up that topic. How about you? Did you ever have any brothers that were really dear to you or anything? That were really close to your heart? Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I did have a very close friend. I met her, of course, in our Kingdom Hall, but I loved her to pieces, and we got along great. And but I mean, she helped me when I was in a lot of trouble with my ex-husband, and she took one of my children in, and you know, all my kids kind of got separated, and we all kind of went into hiding and stuff like that. But I mean, after when I escaped that marriage, and I kind of lost touch with everybody, and I didn't dare go back to the Kingdom Hall or touch down with anybody. But that's the one that I missed, and years went by, and I did find her. She married. She was a single sister, and very understanding. You know, we talked about a lot of very deep things, but well, I could see how they have a very strong hold on her. So, you know, I didn't try to talk her out of it. You know, I just let it be. She unfriended me on Facebook. The big, you know, slap. So they say if somebody unfriends you. So, but that's fine. Maybe one day she'll wake up. that's the only one.
Yeah, that's sad. It's sad what Watchtower has done to us. I don't think that my family and my wife's family will ever wake up. I think they're going to go down with the ship no matter what.
Yeah.
They're just really blinded. But I have really strong faith that many will wake up. I do. I just, me personally, with my family situation, I don't think that they can wake up. I'm just going to take a second to read some comments. Let's see.
Okay,
here.
I'm going to mute.
Oh, okay. Thank you for calling in, Connie and JP.
Oh.
Y'all can still comment. I just like to go to the comment section and give them a chance.
Okay. Sure.
Oh, thank you all. Let's see here. Debbie Moore says, let's see, can't find it actually. We might refer to Watchtower as being bad, but that doesn't mean we think all JWs are bad. We used to be then, we just woke up. Yeah, good point, hon. You know, the thing is though, what happens if you don't wake up? You know, the ones that refuse to wake up, there's selfishness behind it. They don't want to be wrong. But then again, there's also that cognitive dissonance, and excuse me, there's also the brainwashing. Rick's talked about it, and I feel the same way too, about the sunk cost fallacy. And you're so invested in something that it's too uncomfortable to let go. Sorry, y'all. I got a little tickle in my throat. Let's see, what other comments do we have? Tony, I heard, is going into plumbing or window washing. People have funny comments here. I'm just looking through. I'm sorry, y'all. Well, I don't see too much in here. Just a bunch of people talking together, but I thought I'd send that out. All right. Well, anyways, does anybody have a comment to add it, or y'all want to hear me talk some more? Let's see here. Well, anyways, everybody. Sorry, I'm running out of things to say a little bit, but I get caught up talking to y'all. You know, with everything that's going on with what is it? Get my notes out here. Sorry, y'all. With what's happening in Brazil and Paraguay, and what's happening in the Congo, I just feel desperation from the Watchtower. I feel like they don't know what to do. Oops, sorry, y'all. They don't know what to do anymore, except just do damage control. They don't know how to. It's almost like they can't get their shit together. They just can't. They're a sinking ship, and they know it. I think the Attorney General in Pennsylvania even said that about them, that they were sinking, and they know it. And they do know it. That's why there's all this desperation. Like I said, there's this repetitiveness of donating. Give us more of your time. You know, they constantly want more and more. I mean, think about it, right? What's going to happen with this project that they have going in Ramapo? All right. Some people think 30 to 40%. I think 50% are PMOs. Rick has said he thinks 50% are PMOs. If these physically and mentally out on the organization, and they range anywhere from 30 to 50%, there's no way that Watchtower is going to get them to do the slave labor to build the project. So how are they going to get this done? Is always been on my mind. How are they possibly going to get Ramapo done? They're bleeding out money with lawsuits. They're bleeding out money by losing their religious status in countries like Norway, right? And I don't know, what do you all think of that? Do you think that they're drowning and that there's no way out of this? Because it seems like it. I wonder what a fortune company that assesses people's wealth and their position and their stocks and where they're headed as a company. I mean, they got to be going down. they don't have new members coming in, and they're losing members, and they don't realize that a lot of these members that they have are not contributing. I read a post on Reddit, and it said that there was a guy who was, what was he doing here? Let's see. His wife, he's a TMO, his wife is a teenie, and he falsifies documentation to show her, because she's anal, to show her that he's paying Watchtower donations, but he's not giving them anything. It's a fake document. If the story is real, I love it, and I'm sure it is. I love that, because how could you donate to an organization when you know where the money's going and it's dirty? You know, that's my thoughts, though. But does anybody else have anything to add?
Yeah, Eric.
Hey, is this 10?
Yeah.
Hey, buddy.
Yeah, just a couple of just a couple of points on that. I just wonder if most of their financial support is not even coming from the witnesses anymore, because you see, I mean, I'm inclined to believe those videos you see about their shares in big companies and weapons manufacturers, vaccine developers. If that's true, that's where most of their money would be coming from. And then there's also the sales. Like, if you look online, there's that IBSA, International Bible Students Association. If you do a Google search, it's essentially property development. It doesn't hide the fact that it's a witness thing, and it's in England, selling their developed. I'm going to assume it's old Bethel Branch buildings that they've renovated, and they're reselling onto the market, high-end property, and it's showcased on the internet pretty well, their sales pitch, and it's their property. They're not hiding it. So they must be making a fair bit of money off of that stuff, because most of their real estate locations are pretty prime real estate in every country that they own. Even in Australia, where the Bethel was, there's a lot of new development around it. So if ever they wanted to sell off, they'd be getting way more, than a lot of people for their money. So there's that aspect. So I just think it's nearly just the greed that they want contributions from people, because is it their main source of income? I would say probably not, but they're trying to squeeze every last dollar out of them. And then I also at a point where I'm starting to wonder, because so many of their decisions are based on financial aspects, are there going to be or already some people that are members that are somehow making a sneaky profit or stealing, just skinning off the top? That's just, that's just.
Actually, wasn't there a letter that was released from somebody that I watched where it's an elder's letter? Maybe it was Mike King Ken. Don't quote me on this, guys, but I thought I saw something where there was something that was brought out to the elders, and there's a process now to how they count the money at the conventions, and it's counted more than a bank. It goes through several people. It goes through sisters, and they count it, and then I forgive me for not. This is just off the cuff for me remembering what I watched. It goes through sisters, and they count it, and there's like 4 or 8 of them. There's several of them, however many there is. And they all count it, and then it goes to brothers, and they all count it. Then it goes to another party, and they all count it. Then it goes back to the sisters to recount it. And it's just like this laborious effort to count all the tax, and they want to make sure that nothing is getting leaked out, and because apparently they have a problem with it. And
that's their priority. That's their
cash is their priority.
Yeah, and all the decisions they make are based off of financial. The whole child abuse thing, they're thinking financial. So, it's got nothing to do with doctrine, anything like that. They're just thinking of the bottom line. How is this going to affect us financially? You name any major decision they make, it's always like that. If they buy property, what's the resale? It's kind of weird, because it's a lot of religious organisations have got dudes at the top that are making a personal profit, and I just wonder with the witnesses, it's insane how focused they are on money, but you can't see the evidence of any individuals actually, making some off the side. So, yeah, I had the same question as what you do. Do the governing body travel first class when they're on planes? I have seen it claimed on videos, but
I've seen it claimed on video. Yeah.
I'd like to see the proof of it, But
I
yeah,
would too, because it would be very.
Yeah, because if they
would Jesus fly on a plane, first class, or would he on?
Yeah, I mean, the fact they won't even give money back to a sick kid, or they'll hint that your ice cream money's better off in there.
Yeah.
That's the mentality.
Disgusting.
They won't give. Yeah, but would they fly first class? I nearly think that they would, but hopefully that gets leaked. But other than that, so financially, I suppose my point is that I think they're still making a lot of money, but do they care that their members are leaking? I kind of think like what you're saying, they're going down membership-wise. They've got to be losing a lot of members, and I kind of reckon personally I personally believe, it's just a hunch, but that in a few years' time, or when some of these things come to a head, the end result is that you'll be glad you didn't identify with that religion, because that's going to make you look real bad in public. I just think that it's only the tip of the iceberg. What's happening now in Pennsylvania. Like it happened in Australia, that was good to wake a few people up, but I kind of think it's got to, I believe that anything like that, it just can't last. It's got to, it's self-destructing now, and yeah, hopefully we see some more, information come to light, and they really get exposed, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's the best we can do, is just keep exposing everything. And I don't understand how my family can be so entranced in it. I know they're third generation, because I'm fourth. So I get it, and they're older, and it's just been beat into them. My father used to be a rebel, and he has a background story of he got the scholarships because when he was 16, he found, I've told this story many times, but he found a lot of weed in the Gulf of Mexico from the Colombians. It was in a tank package. It's a long story. I won't get into it again. But he got in trouble.
I've heard you say it,
Yeah, he got in trouble for all that, and he did his time. And the elders were really harassing him when he moved from Florida to Rhode Island to get reinstated. And he told an elder in the parking lot, who I know, I grew up with his grandson. He was my friend, but kind of an abusive kid. Not really my friend. I thought he was my friend, but you know what I mean? But anyways, he told this elder in the parking lot of the Jehovah's Witnesses Kingdom Hall, go F your mother. My father was a fighter, and he was feisty, and he hated being controlled. But he eventually gave, I'm telling the story, I know it's a little obnoxious, but he gave up his manhood almost. It's not that it was right that he said that to the guy, but he just, from that point forward, when he got corrected for it and he got reinstated, he just did whatever Watchtower said. It even got to the point where they disfellowshipped. So my brother and my sister-in-law had a newborn, and the elder of the congregation, the Kobe, he said, you can't show up. My brother would hand off the baby to my mother, and then they would go to their car and wait for my mother to bring the baby back to them while they were disfellowshipped. And the elder said that that shouldn't happen. The baby should get the hell out too. So he disfellowshipped the baby as well. And my parents fought it at first, but they went with it. And that's what keeps happening. The Jehovah's Witnesses, they keep taking a chisel, right, to a rock or to a sculpture, and they keep taking a piece. Let's say it's sculpture, a really nice sculpture. They take a chisel to it, and they keep making it ugly until there's nothing left to it. It was beautiful at one point, but they keep chiseling away your morality. They keep chiseling away because you're believing in what men say. You're following men rather than Christ as the mediator.
Yeah, you're handing over a false, it's a false authority. When you look back, anyone that's been part of that organization, I mean, I pretty much left it when I was 21, but I just left the area and moved away, and then multiple times they lost track of me. But when you look back, some of the things, the obnoxious stuff that they said to you with their false authority, if anyone said that to you now, you would tell them where to go in no uncertain terms. But that's just what they become like with their false authority. But I also reckon a lot of people are stuck to it because family, like someone was talking about the conventions before. Now, when people go to those conventions, what are they looking forward to? I remember when I was a kid, my family was looking forward to seeing long lost people they hadn't seen for ages. So they're not looking forward to listening to. No one's truly going there to listen to the talks. They're like, oh, I'm going to catch up. Haven't seen them for years. Oh, they used to be in my congregation, or family, and that's all like the social aspect of it. And then going to the meetings, like, I was of the mentality of talk to my friends. You'd like talking before and after and talk smack about whatever. And that was the cool thing, And when I was looking forward to going to assemblies, I was in because I used to take all year just to save up money for the food, And I was like, yeah, I'll get some junk food, because we were really poor, so it would take me a year to save up, and I'd blow my money just on food back in the day they used to have it. So, like, is anyone going for theological, religiously? Not that many these days. I reckon they're going for social, because their mates are going to be there. They're friends. They catch up with that, and they, apart from the people that have got some sort of authority in there, but they love that authority too. So, they're not going anywhere while they're kind of in an elevated position.
Yeah, for sure. That you're talking about authority, it's just like that abuse of power. I think it's man's biggest weakness is being in a position of authority. Not to get off two subjects, but like to fund the police. I actually disagree with that. I think we should fund them more so that they can have better training to be calmer in situations and use their head more and use their intelligence in situations instead of just being scared or feeling threatened. I know it's a scary situation for them. But I was going to say with the same with the elders, they abuse that power too. And these guys aren't even. We're all humans, men and women here, right? We can all agree that the police have authority over us. They should, they shouldn't be abused, but yes, we need police. We need police to help us. If you're in a situation where someone's hurting you or in your house, what are you going to do? Call the police. But do we need elders?
I think
what do they offer? What do they offer?
It's a good parallel, though.
And they're not psychiatrists either. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say it's actually a pretty good parallel because, like, the police force, in America with that whole defund the police, what you're getting is the same thing as what you're getting with the witness organisation, or same, I would even argue, with military. The people that have got morals are the ones that are leaving, which kind of opens the door for people that have got less ethics and that are abusing their position. And I would argue that as the witnesses go on, anyone that's got morality about them cannot last in that organisation.
Yeah, you know what? I have to agree with you. I think that's a really valid point, a really good point. I feel like, how like the Jehovah's Witnesses, and I don't really mean what I'm about to say. I'm just kind of like using their thinking. If Jehovah's Witnesses think that that no matter what they do, that they will be saved, like if that doesn't work out for them, now what? Where are Jehovah's Witnesses going to be if for some reason they finally find out that they were in a false religion? I guess I'm getting a little off point, but my mind is just wandering, and I'm just thinking that what's the you know what? I think a lot of us would like nothing more to welcome our families back, even if they hurt us, even if they've been nasty to us, or to help them heal from the damage of Watchtower. Because hell, we've all needed it, and I thank Rick for helping us with that.
I hope that a lot more people come out of it, because the advice they're giving, they're not keeping so they basically just parrot government talking points now and government narratives. They're not giving people good information, and like they're not warning people about what's actually going on in the world. They're actually, to your point, they're like saying don't listen to conspiracy theories. Well, what is labelled a conspiracy theory in this day and age is often quite truthful, and you know, they're turning people away from looking into other narratives, but they're parroting the main narrative on the news, which is okay, like without going into it, but say for example climate change, whether you believe it or not, it's only being used by media as a narrative for eventual control over people, and now witnesses are parroting. They had an article someone sent to me the other day, and it's like, oh, such and such is happening because of climate change. I was like, you just don't think anything outside of what the UN talking points now. Why not point to some other things that are really going on rather than bring that stuff up? You know, like they're not warning about anything that's legitimately. You know, they don't say nothing about the CBDC. They don't say nothing about, you know, Klaus Schwab, or, you know, these aren't conspiracies. Davos, you know, World Government Summit. You know, they're not. They've got no real information. You know, they don't even talk about the UN ever since they were part of it. They don't seem to ever, you know.
Tim, you mentioned something that struck me, and I wanted to talk about it. I don't know how much you know about it, but you did mention it. You said that they're invested in the vaccine, like the company that.
Oh, yeah, they are. Yeah, and that.
Well, you know what? That's pretty scary. That's pretty scary because they pushed it.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things. See, I haven't had nothing to do with them for years and years. And
so are they invested in like Pfizer or something like that? Is that what you're saying?
I don't really know. I just heard.
You've heard something. Yeah. Well, that would be incredible.
Yeah. Weapons manufacturers.
I know. I've heard about that one. Yes.
Yeah, and the
vaccines. I didn't know. Yeah.
Yeah, because they let their hall, some of the hall parking lots, they let them be used for people to get the jab.
Yes, I've seen that on Reddit. You're absolutely right. I've heard about that on Reddit.
Yeah, so. Yep. And that was when I was first actually looking into what they were talking about. And I was nearly thinking, okay, I'll just see what's on. I hadn't even looked on jw.org, and then I watched two things in the same day which saw them contradict themselves. I heard them say they were talking about safety, and they said, you know, it made a bit of common sense. They were saying, okay, if you're on a building site, follow safety protocol, because it would be, you know, you can't say, oh, Jehovah will save me if you're not following the safety protocol. I said, yeah, it makes sense. Then on the same day, they were first talking about the vaccine, and Blaine's up there and he's going, oh, well, Jehovah wouldn't give us a vaccine that's going to kill us. And I'm thinking, you are the guy that I just heard saying follow safety protocol because you shouldn't be saying Jehovah's going to save us. And now you're basically saying, oh, well, he wouldn't give us a... That's got to be the lamest reasoning I've ever heard for pushing a vaccine. You know, so I just thought, okay, you know, that, and then the more they pushed it, I kind of thought, well, you're supposed to be neutral, and you're pushing a political agenda here, whether it's argued, whether it's helped or not, it's ultimately a person's own decision. And straight away when I saw how hard they pushed that, I was just like, okay, you know, this is some red flags here. You know, I knew that they were a hard organisation to deal with, but I kind of thought I used to think it was more along the lines that I used to still think for many years they are the truth, but they're just not teaching it properly, and I don't really want to be a part of it. And it's only the last few years I actually looked into the whole theology, you know, even in recent months in the last year where I've looked into the Christian theology side of it, and I'm thinking, well, everything they taught's a load of crap. And basically the ultimate goal of what they're doing really is to turn people away from a religion, because after people leave that, most of them have had a gutful and think, I don't want to have nothing to do with it, with God or anything anymore. So it's like, okay, who are they serving, you know? To me, it seems like they're doing Satan's work. So, yeah. Anyway, I rambled on a little bit there, but that was kind of my whole thinking process. And that whole jab thing, that had a lot to do with it, to be honest. Just
Yeah.
seeing the way they
Well, that had a lot to do with you waking up.
Yeah, for the main part. So yeah, because like even though I wasn't part of the
Well, like
organization,
just to go along with what you're saying. Oh, just to go along with what you're saying. I was already woken up, but when I heard what they were doing with the jab, and pushing that as my personal belief system, and I won't push it on anyone, but I was like, oh, this is a game changer for me, because like, okay, you're completely involved in our medicine now. You're telling us to get vaccinated. You're telling us we can have blood fractions, but we can't have blood. But breast milk is okay, even though that has white blood cells, and I'm not sure if that's brand. I don't know, but I know that it has enough blood cells in it that they're just full of shit. As long as you heat treat the product and do it correctly, because modern medicine, and you get the right, you have to get the right blood types together. But other than that, they have it all figured out. And I was faced with having the possibility of getting a blood transfusion once, and I had to break that Jehovah's Witness mentality and say, yeah, I'm not going to leave my wife who has nobody, and I have nobody. I'm not going to leave her just because of some stupid religious, not even cult practice that's killing people. Because, and for what? I really don't understand. Like, you know what? Fine. If they really think their blood is wrong, I mean, I don't want someone else's blood in me, but if it means saving my life, I do, yeah. And I don't really understand what's your spin on it. Why do you not want people to live? Like, don't you need members? I really don't know what their spin is. Like, why is that law exist? All right, you could suggest it, right, Tim? Suggest it, right? But say, maybe it's not the best thing for you, but hey, do what you want to do. It's a conscience matter. It's on you. But they're disfellowshipping people, because a friend of mine, his grandfather, he was disfellowshipped his whole life because he never had it in him to come back. The shame. He'd make meetings, he'd make the memorial, and he never came back. And he's dead now. But he lived a long life, and he said to my friend Dustin, he said, can't leave my family behind. That's why I got it. Like, I was a young man. I was in my 40s. I couldn't just leave my family behind. I got to keep going and take care of everyone. It's honorable. It's honorable. Like, goddamn you, Watchtower. Sorry.
You're choosing life. That's I've looked at that thing too, and it's like, well, you talk about the sanctity of life. Here, on the one hand, they will say that a person that commits suicide is bad and won't get a resurrection because they disrespected life. When their whole blood thing, are you going to choose to leave your family? They haven't even gone into the whole thing properly. Was there such a thing back in those times as blood transfusions? No. Is there organ transplants now? Yes. Well, is that eating an organ? No, you're not being a cannibal. So you've got to differentiate. I think the best argument I ever heard on it was recently on this ex-witness channel. The guy is saying the Bible also has laws about inappropriate touching. Does that mean a doctor, when he does a medical checkup, which probably nearly didn't exist in those days, if he touches a woman, is that rape? Should he be stoned? It's like, no, he's probably doing her a service to help her with a pregnancy or give her a check, but I mean, that's the kind of mentality they use to justify most of their stupid. There's no thought process that goes through it. They just like blindly obey one section of the Bible without even having the slightest bit of critical thought or respect for life. Like with the CSA, respect for children comes before over any stupid two-witness rule. Come on, wake up. But okay, the same mentality. People, they just blindly go along with that. It's insane.
In the words of Gary Bro, governing body member helper, he says, "We will never change our two-witness rule." Well, there you have it.
Well, maybe he doesn't want us to change it because he might be hiding something.
Tim, and everybody that's listening, and if anyone wants to chime in, I have no idea why the governing body have this rule. I know that they don't want their organization to look bad, but at some point, it just seems like a massive cover-up to the point where you're involved with it. I don't know. And I'm not saying that they're the governing body of perverts. I don't even believe that. I don't. But something's going on. Because I don't understand why. Maybe they just are so in denial of who they are, and they can't handle the fact that they have problems because of their rules. I think that they've chosen to just bury the hatchet and constantly ignore, constantly ignore the facts of what's going on, and they just rather hide it. But it's making them look worse because there's nothing that they can do. I mean, regular radio stations and news stations are covering you about child sex abuse in Pennsylvania, and there's like what 13 guys. I lose track now. I mean, it's getting ridiculous, everyone.
Yeah, they just it's partly the financial aspect as well. I reckon that that if they did turn around and change their mind on that point, they're going to get a lot of lawsuits coming in if they admit. So there's that. Who knows? I personally think if some of this stuff goes right to the top, like any corrupt organisation, but how that is, but time will tell, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know what anybody else thinks out there. If anyone else wants to chime in, give their 2 cents. But yeah, I agree with you, Tim. It's getting really corrupt, and what the heck is going on with Anthony Morris? Something's going on with him. I mean, we're not hearing anything about him really, and the things that we are hearing about him, it just seems. It's almost like when the mafia have a problem with somebody and they just move them somewhere else. They might even get demoted, but if that don't happen, you get killed, right? But they don't do that. They don't work like that. But I've heard of the Amish mafia, right? And I always thought, oh, that's weird. But you know what? If anybody is listening, or anybody out there, or even Tim, agrees or not, or the Jehovah's Witnesses a mafia in the way, in like a cult form, in the the religious form. I mean, like, yeah, they don't murder, but let's think about the extortion they do. Blackmail. They blackmail you if you don't live by their standards. They take your family away from you. What else? They do money laundering. Right? Because like every time they claim that they're a charitable organization when they're not, and they do the least charitable, they're the least charitable organization. It's like small millions of dollars compared to like hundreds of millions of dollars to other organizations. I don't have the statistics in front of me or anything, but from what I've heard, and that's pretty sad. They're just con men, really. They're weasels. They sell you a song. I mean, Paradise has been coming for 100 and almost 50 years, 140 plus years. What do you all think? Or what do you think, Tim, or whoever wants to talk? Let's see if anybody has something to talk that's on the phone.
Yeah, I was hoping someone else. Well, I'm still here, but I'm trying to be real quiet so you don't hear what I'm doing in the background.
Oh, no
work, but
are you really?
I've liked commenting. I've liked commenting so far. But yeah, I am interested to see what happens with it. That's why I kind of listen to this type of a thing. But I just think the corruption is going to get exposed at some point, because like now, I mean, I don't know. It might be just bias, but when you listen to those people, man, they sound like plain and loud. They're full of creepy. Like that, I can't listen to them. Like I was hoping you weren't going to play one of their clips earlier, otherwise I would have had to zone out, because I mean, that's why I hate some of those ex-witness critique videos. I can't stand hearing those guys talk. Like they're just that, in my opinion.
Did I kill you? Did I kill you with that one today?
No, because that one was from Africa, and I didn't know who the dude was. So,
That's cool. Good to know, though. Good to know, though, not to play many clips. But like, I was just there were. The only reason why I played it was because in 4 minutes and 31 seconds, he had a lot to say that I wanted to call out on. That's all.
you have to.
So
you have to do it. And
listen, I completely understand. When I watch this myself, I have to watch even a 4-minute clip. I probably have to watch it like 3-4 times to get anything out of it because my Jehovah's Witness mind immediately goes blank once I start hearing them. I start going into my own mind and thinking about what I'm going to do for dinner.
Yeah, it's kind of nearly like a corrupt politician, the same type of a feel. Like
you just can't. Yeah,
exactly. Or someone, you'd hear him and you'd just be shut up. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
I reckon it's just because they're lying personality shows, to be honest. I just feel that they're just so not genuine that it just oozes from their personality.
For sure.
You know, the way they speak, the way they present themselves, they just come across like con men,
Yeah, they are con men. That's the sad part. They play on our emotions, they play on our weaknesses, and it's kind of like the shittiest thing that you could do to somebody, really. There was a movie that Nicolas Cage did where he was a con man, and I don't remember the name of it, but and then you got Saul Goodman. But these guys will go like the lowest depths of earth, squeeze a buck out of you, but you know what? These guys that I'm talking about, these fictional characters, they weren't doing it in the name of the true God, right? They weren't doing it in God's. They were just. These guys have some balls to think that they're going to get away with this. And you know what? Any governing body member that is listening to this show or your henchmen, how the heck do you think that God doesn't see what you're doing? I mean, come on. If God exists, right? And I believe he does, but I don't follow the typical Christian standards of it. I have my own faith, and it's different than anybody else's. It's not typical Christianity. And it mostly focuses on just doing well to others like Jesus did. And I can never be like Jesus, but we can at least try to. And I'm not being preachy, y'all. I'm just saying. No. I think I'm saying all that matters in life is to do well to others like you want to be done to you. And I think that's all that matters. Be good. This is look at Rick Farron, what he's doing for everyone. He's given us all a network where we can heal together. Tim and I are probably a 15-hour time difference together. I think it's Sunday where you're living. If Brad from Australia told me right. Yeah. And it's Saturday night here, or I don't know what time it is. I guess it's Sunday now. Yeah, it's 12:40. But it's cool to be connected to you all around the world.
For sure, I think it's a pretty important network. So.
Oh, thank you all. The comment section, Bob Roberts said, "Mastic men." Yes. 1, 2, 3, as he shuts the door. Somebody sent something. Bob Roberts said, "Tim, do you have a crows in the backyard?" Background, sorry.
Crows. There could be. There's a lot of birds in this area. Yeah, funny. Surprised me.
Man, this guy's got an ear for the birds, huh? That's like that movie in what was it? I can't remember. No, it wasn't a movie. It was a comic. And there was a golf tournament, and the announcer, there was a caller that came in and called out that the bird in the background was from an audio track, and it wasn't actual birds on the live show that they were doing, because that bird wasn't migrant, like it didn't belong to that type of species, didn't belong to that atmosphere, to that environment. And I think it was a comedian that brought it out, and Brian Regan, but it was the funniest thing. Like, damn, that's a damn good ear. Sorry, y'all. I thought about a little comedy. Yeah, go ahead, Brad.
Tim, only person that had the crow in the background at the time.
Yeah, there's a lot of birds around. This part of Australia, you got distinctive birds. They
Yeah.
noises and stuff. But I wasn't even thinking about it. I know though this area's got more of that type, more bird life than what I've seen in any other parts of Australia I've ever lived. So
Canberra's great.
Yes, they're everywhere.
Do you have birds that like attack people? Because I've seen videos of that in Australia.
Yeah, magpies. Magpies.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, magpie. Yeah, I couldn't remember the name, but yeah, that's it. Yeah.
They're mostly friendly, to be honest. Though you can.
Yeah, they look really friendly.
You can feed them from your hand. Like I've never had one attack me, but
Really?
I know they do.
Okay.
But
Yeah. If you feed the magpies in your area, you won't ever get attacked ever.
Oh,
you can feed them from your hand. It's just like every year. There's a new group of videos that come out of kids riding their bikes down the road, or people walking down the road and then just absolutely getting bombed by them. I love that time of the year. The best time of the year. The funniest videos you've ever seen.
That's awesome.
Half of it might have, half of it's territorialism, and the other half is it's possible that a lot of these kids taunt them as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, when you F around, you're going to find out.
Yeah. Play stupid games and win stupid prizes.
Yeah,
But I remember you asking what one of the differences with dealing with the wildlife in Australia compared to other countries. And when you see someone riding a bicycle here, their helmet will always have zip ties tied to it and hanging off quite long. And that's because of the magpies. So the magpies will try and bite the zip ties instead of slamming right into their heads and things like that. Yeah, so that is one of the differences dealing with the.
So they are kind of pieces of crap.
No, they're awesome. I love them. I love them for the quality of the videos, and they're actually really nice, lovely birds if you're nice to them. But if you're not, they'll remember you. Just like crows, they'll tell other families of magpies about you, and if you throw rocks at them and things like that, then they'll attack you, and then you'll go to another suburb and you'll get attacked there, and then you go to another suburb and you get hit there, and they're pretty funny like that. I like it.
Fair enough. Makes sense. It's almost like a cat. Like I ticked off a cat
a little bit, yeah,
because it was ticking me off, and I gave this cat hates me so much it runs away from me every time, and I was giving a part on the meeting, and my dad wasn't feeling well, so he was at home and he listened in on the phone, and the cat was on his lap. And I came on the stage and started giving my talk, and he heard my voice, and the cat ran off. And my dad laughed hysterically because he knew exactly what happened.
That's pretty funny. The idea that the cat was listening to the meeting is funny too.
Maybe that's why it really ran away, right? Maybe that's what it would be.
I have a question for Brad. I'm starting again from an hour ago. Brad, in 2005, there's going to be a treaty. And I don't really know what a treaty is.
Did you say in 2005 there is going to be a treaty?
Yeah, I'm confused.
Yeah,
part
of the World Health Treaty.
Oh, yeah, I know about that.
I don't.
That's the pandemic. It's the pandemic treaty that the World Health. So basically, what it means is, if you're signed up to that, and there's another pandemic, their rules override the government, basically. So you'll find that with COVID, there was a worldwide response that comes from the UN anyway. It's just solidifying that. So if there's another disease outbreak, which many say is planned, and it wouldn't surprise me, that it just gives them ultimate authority to, their law supersedes your government. It's not a good thing. That's all I know about it. It's taking away the sovereignty of your government, and even though a lot of government officials say that's not the case, it is the case. Their rule will supersede your government, and most governments have signed on to it already. I think it's like once it's signed, there's so many months of where people are allowed to have any additional comments or whatever to it before it becomes reality. But I think it's within the next 2 years that will be binding, because most of the public is not told about it, and they're not educated about it, and what little that you are told about it through mainstream media is just sugar-coated. So they will tell you that it's for the best. The UN will tell you it's for the best, that they've got a unified response, but it's not. That's my opinion. Yeah, thank you for clarifying that.
Hey, we're gonna jump in. We're gonna jump in here. There's a Rick Friend, the control panel. I don't know if Eric's still on with us, but we're gonna be going to a post-debate program. So, Eric, you on there with us?
Hey, buddy.
All right. Listen, why don't you take about a minute or so, wrap your program up, and we'll go to a post-debate. She's waiting in the queue. Yep.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Appreciate everybody calling in tonight. We had a lot of listeners or callers. I don't know about listeners, but callers at least. So sorry for the technical difficulties. I'm not sure what happened. I guess my phone messed up. It just wasn't, for whatever reason, it wasn't agreeing tonight, y'all. I don't know. Every time I call in, since I've been doing this with Rick, I've had no problems with it, but tonight just wasn't working out. So thanks for putting up with it. It kind of got me for a loop a little bit. So if the show went a little rogue, I apologize. But thank you, everybody, for calling in. I can name all the names, but I'll forget them, so why bother? But you know who you are, and I love you all. And I appreciate the support and support for Rick's channel. And, we got a really good thing here. And Debbie Moore says, thanks, Eric. Good show. On to Pasta Babe. See y'all there. I appreciate everyone in the comment section. And Bob Roberts, you always give good comments too, and many others. But, what we try to do here is try to heal one another. And I want to leave some final thoughts for the audience. If there are any Jehovah's Witnesses listening in, PMOs, PNQs, mostly PNQs or even PNEs that are just wondering, I guess you'd be a PNQ at that point. It's not scary to leave. You can take that pill. And when you awaken, it's going to suck. It's not going to be very comfortable. I'm just going to be honest with you. Your life is going to, depending on how you play it, it can be really horrible at first. But there's life after it, like life after the Watchtower. Who was that? Is that Dave and Angela? There is life after it. And you're going to, you know what? Even though I don't have my family, Desiree and I, we don't have our family. We have the inner peace of knowing that we don't have to feel that fear mongering anymore. We're awakened from taking that pill. So I invite you all to take that pill. Go down the road, even if you have to take it and have a double life and be a PMO. It's okay. You're not a bad person. You have to play the hand that you've been given. Watchtower wants to keep you down and control you and keep you in, but you have the power to rise above and not fear them, just like the Bible says. Thanks, you all, and I appreciate you. And sorry, Rick, for the mess ups tonight or whatever went on. But thanks for putting up with me, y'all. And we'll go on to Linda James. Peace out.
Well, thank you, Eric. Appreciate it very much. Yeah, don't worry about the mess ups. Well, what happens? I mean, every once in a while, it's just a bad night. I've had it here myself. Things just don't work right. But good program. Thank you very much, Eric. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Going to end the program here. Stay with us, though. Linda James, Apostate Babe, coming up next.